This is page number 34. The question is which factors chiefly determine the alkali metal carryover? Bed temperature, chlorine content of coal. Bed temperature and chlorine content of coal is the alkali metal carryover. Next question, experimental results show that the alkali content of the gas phase is in itself not a sufficient measure of the tendency to condense alkali sulfate in the gas turbine. Why? Answer, the chlorine alkali metal ratio in the PFBC efflux is higher than with oil products. This might be expected to suppress condensate. NaK chlorides are more volatile than NaK sulfates. Second, the aluminosilicates of coal ash called Gathering tie up some of the alkali metal in harmless form. Question, can this Gathering prevent sulfate deposition on GT blades? Answer is no. Thermochemical calculations as presented in report number CS1469 of EPRI by the General Electric Company indicates that with typical chlorine alkyl metal reactions, the alkali metal sulfate condensation on turbine blades will far outstrip a conventional liquid fuel fired GT, even with 90% catering. Question, how much of the input alkali is vaporized from PFBC? About 1 to 2%. In such minor extent of alkali emission harmful? Yes. The efflux is considered to be potentially corrosive. Question, which factors control the potential of alkali attack on blades? Answer, blade temperature and corrosion resistance of blade material. Question, what is the maximum permissible limit of blade temperature in the context of alkali attack? Answer, if the material temperature is not higher than about 1075 degree Kelvin, the existing turbine alloys with the existing corrosion resistant coating should give adequate life. Question, what primary factors are being considered in the selection of industrial boilers today? Answer, fuel flexibility over the life of the boiler unit, capability of burn low quality fuels or derived fuels, possible hookup for cogeneration facility, capability to fulfill over increasing emission standards, optimizing the existing equipment recording the efficiency, performance and service life, turn down and pot load capability. The question, how are industrial boilers classified? Answer, water tube boiler, fire tube boiler, heat recovery boiler, electrode boiler, and packaged boiler, field directed boiler, fluidized bed boiler, refuse fired boiler, unfired boiler. Question, briefly describe water tube boilers used for industrial purpose. Answer, only few years ago all industrial water tube boilers would generate most of the steam in the convective bank of water wall tubes. Only few years ago, all industries' water tube boilers would generate most of the steam in convective bank of water wall tubes. With the growth of demand of steam is at higher pressure and temperature, and to meet the industry need for higher capacity and higher efficiency, most of the steam is nowadays generated in the radiant section of the water wall tubes, where heat transfer occurs principally through radiation. The design features of this radiation boiler are basically same as those used in utility central stations. Fuels burned range from conventional fossil fuels to a wide range of waste and low grade energy sources. These include industrial and municipal sludges, wood waste, petroleum coke, coal mining waste, liquid industrial waste, and blast furnace gas, gas from sewage sludge digesters. Question: in which cases are packed boilers used? Answer: packaged boilers suit those industrial where the steam requirement is modest. Question is: what fuels are used for packaged boilers? Answer: packaged boilers are almost exclusively designed for liquid and gaseous fluids. Also, pulverized solid fuel can be used to generate steam to the highest particle practical limit of 45 ton per hour in solid fuel has high calorific value and the fuel is pulverized to ultra fine particles. In here we can see the typical two-pass packaged boiler. It is a fire tube boiler that burns liquid fuel, fossil fuels. We can see the fuel is going from the bottom to the top. The water tube holes are the, we can see in the boiler of top side left. The next question: is the practical limit of packaged boiler 45 tons per hour steam? Yes, because of the size that is commensurate rate with higher steam demand. Through packages, units of capabilities up to 272 tons per hour are available. Boiler larger than 112 tons per hour cannot be supplied by rail. Note: packaged boilers or shop assembled units. Next question: what are the basic design characteristics of packaged boilers? Answer: maximum use of vertical or near vertical water wall tubes in the radiant as well as convective zone of the furnace. Use of economizer to hike up overall efficiency. Maximum use of natural circulation of working fluid to increase heat absorption. The question: what are the usual structural configurations of packaged boilers? Answer: most of the packaged boilers units come in the form of A, O, and D type configurations. The next question: what are the distinguishing features of each such type of packaged units? The D type boiler is most flexible among the three. It has only two drums, larger volume of combustion space to fit a superheater or economizer into it. The O-type boiler is symmetrical unit. It exposes the least amount of heat to the radiant surfaces. The A-type packaged boiler is tri-drum type unit. It has two smaller lower drums plus one large upper drum where separation of steam from water takes place. The next question: what are the ranges of temperature and pressure in which the packaged unit boiler in general operation? Answer is operating pressure 8.5 to 68 atmospheric pressure. Operation temperature is 510 degrees Celsius maximum. The next question: can packaged boiler units be hooked up for cogeneration purpose? Yes, only the largest units can lend themselves for cogeneration facilities. Why does these limitations exist? Low superheat temperature is available due to space limitations. Question: is water carryover into the steam a problem with packaged units? Yes. What measures are taken to counter it? Steam separators are installed in the steam drum. Question: what types of separators are used? Answer: right from the simplest ones, baffle and chevron types. to highly sophisticated centrifugal types are used. The simplest types are used for separating low pressure saturated steam, while for high pressure steam to be used in steam turbines